We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Welcome back to Roundtable. We're here with the Roundtable contributor and returning guest to Roundtable, Stephen Collins. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me again.
So we brought you back on because this is the Roundtable NFL midterm edition.
Halfway through, huh?
All right. So yes, shout out to our Roundtable viewers and listeners. Yeah, not all of you are probably going to be on board with it, but this is for the faction that aren't always political, but also watch sports. Also, can find the connections between the two. Everybody's got their facet. Everybody's got their their connection and everything. But football, NFL, it's week 8 has passed, came and went, and soon week 9 will be upon us. My team is Dallas, and you're a Broncos fan.
I am. I'm ashamed
we,
to say it.
Well, you
right
are,
now.
but we played each other,
We
and
did.
you're going to get the floor, and you're going to get all of the credibility you deserve, and this is why you're on Roundtable, of course.
All right,
But
thanks.
first, Colin Kaepernick.
All
So
right.
he still doesn't have a job.
Right. I'm with Cap though.
I'm absolutely with Cap, and he still doesn't have a job. He still is, on the odd man out. He wasn't invited to the first NFL meeting by the player, sub faction of Players Association members, and he just hasn't been really included in a lot of the reform that's happening. But yet, a lot of the changes are happening because of him.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I've I guess mentioned that several times as to why the person that creates the synergy, why are they not included in the equation? Because there's also another piece to the equation I'd like to add. This is all about a certain community being victimized by police brutality. Why are they not involved in this? We have people representing them, but no one's speaking from the community from what they want from this.
And it's interesting how the skirt happened. We're talking about police brutality a year and a half ago, I guess you could say, and
No, forever. Let's be honest.
For forever.
Yeah.
But in the scope of the NFL, we have Colin Kaepernick kneeling to bring more awareness to the killing of unarmed black men in inner cities, and the narrative in 2 months later becomes: do you respect the flag? Are you a patriot?
Yeah. And that's hijacking the narrative.
And it's ultimate. Yeah, it waters down. We talked about this with the whole all lives matter. It's just watering down the movement and the justice that everyone has been looking for that started that movement.
Correct, because we talk about honoring the flag, but I think it's more disrespectful that they have a police flag that represents the United States flag, but they've altered the colors. To me, that's more disrespectful than someone taking a knee. Because what I want people to understand, I played football from Pee Wee up through high school, so at least 12 to 15 years. And every time my coach wanted me to listen, he'd say, "Come here, come listen, take a knee and listen." So this man, to me, did one of the most respectful things in the sporting world as an honor, because we respected our coach. We took a knee to take a breath, to remove ourselves from whatever we were engaged in and listen. That's what that man did to represent what we need as a community. We need you to listen to us as a community, and I don't think that's happened at all, because the narrative has been hijacked so many times. But that man, the symbolism of what he did, and that's why I support him, is because I remember my youthful years when my superiors I needed to be heard, or I needed to have them be heard. We took a knee. And he would even take a knee with us sometimes when we were Pee Wee, so he could be on our level.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
See, taking a knee, it like, unpatriotic. And I mean, like, okay, so the people who are dishing out the patriotism award, you probably never served.
Right.
And then if you have served, okay, good. My fight's not with you personally as a fellow vet, a brother in arm. I just want to say that, look, we look at the world, we look at the country differently. Mm-hmm. There is a divide. We don't get to just say, no, it's America, all or nothing. There does need to be some condescension on the issues that exist in America, and Colin Kaepernick figured that out from when he started to kneel. whatever led him to that, I mean, like, of course, there's a prologue, but at the same time, his movement, you're right, got hijacked just because of the fact that it will make rub people the wrong. We're going to get into it later on, of course, in terms of the NFL buzz, just how recently the owner Steve McNair, I think is his name,
Bob McNair.
Bob
from
McNair,
Yeah.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, we're looking for you, Bob.
Yeah, well, Robert McNair.
Yeah.
Okay, so has now said, oh, okay, well, we can't let the inmates, run the prison.
Yeah, direct quote. Yeah, that
And
is correct.
it wasn't an accident that he said that. Let's just keep it real. But we'll come back to that. My thing is police brutality and racism and whatnot and racial profiling. That's Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for the right things, but yet it got a skirt because patriotism and now you got Papa John's complaining about their business is that this national anthem protesting is hurting our bottom line. So why should we care?
Right, because it's hurting lives in the communities of black and brown people. So you should care.
I mean, I'm saying from the angle of in talking, yes, we do need. Yeah, what you said was right, but it's hard for me to give a damn about someone else's bottom line when that's happening.
Right, correct.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because a human life is priceless, and to me, that pizza or whatever it is, everyone should be taking the time to understand. Every time that happens, it affects a whole community, and we're not asking for anything but just to be considered in this equation, because 70% of the NFL is made up of people from our community. So you would think that that's where you get most of your pool from, of employees. We don't want to call them inmates, employees, but i.e. inmates or slaves. Hey, let's just keep it real while we're talking. But if you would think that you'd care about your stock and say, well, wait a minute, Mr. Police Officer, that's where I pull 70% of my employees. You need to leave them alone. So why don't we have that narrative? But see, we never look at it from the correct perspective. Like, we always look at it as police brutality from a white cop on black or brown person. But how about we look at the statistics of black cop on white citizen? I bet you that'd be really low. And to me, in any job that has, when your job is to protect and serve, maybe we should be rewarding the guys that they have a lower rate of protecting and serving, or the way you look at the data, instead of these guys that have a higher rate of brutality or claims, because that's costly. If you look at it, every time someone is injured, you have to have, if there's a fatality, there's a coroner that has to come. It may make it to court. So all these things, we need to look at it from a data perspective, because guess what? You and I are taxpayers, and all of you out there as taxpayers. So
from the terms of the NFL, it's a hustle through property tax. So look, your money is going into the stadiums that are getting built that are housing all of this activity.
Right. Yeah. So you're contributing whether you protest or not. Yeah. And when you wear paraphernalia, you're contributing. And it's okay that everybody does. I've chosen to do something different this year. I've chosen to. I'm not even going to call myself doing a protest. I'm taking a stand for myself. I'm taking that time that I would have dedicated probably to enjoying in sports, and I'm dedicating that into myself and my business and building my brand, because they have a brand. I want mine to be just as powerful as theirs are.
And then that's also, and I'm glad you said that, Steve, because the hustle about sports is people think, oh, they get paid millions of dollars, you know what I mean, like as if they were born into this. Right. That a person has to, if you know, and we're going to get into it with Ezekiel Elliott, a person has to grow into their image. They have to grow into the person that you expect them to be, especially with athletes. Like we just have to be real. We're not. If we're 70% of the NFL, but we come from a background that's typically of poverty, then when you're having to adjust your lifestyle, like that's also, there's a lot of different ways we could go with it, just in terms of how we acknowledge how how the NFL is a hustle. I don't want to get too deep in it. Let's
Yeah.
just call
That's
let's
a
just
whole
call
noth-
it.
that's a whole nother show.
But let's just call it what it is, though. The NFL is a hustle,
Yeah.
but I mean, those players that make millions of dollars, they know it's a hustle because they don't feel like millionaires. They feel like slaves that out there
Right.
just play football. When they hear that, it's like, well, damn, I have an opinion too. I'm not a robot.
Yeah, and big shout out to those Houston Texans, all those brothers that came together and stood together. That's what it's all about, man. Is you made a stand for yourself. I mean, to me, honestly, man, that's the team here in Texas, man. They made a statement to me, and that's what you should do as a team. It's a brotherhood, and just like in any organization, any of one of our armed forces, that's a brotherhood. Our fraternities and sororities, those are brotherhoods. You got to stick together, no matter what. When it's you against someone else, y'all stick together for the greater good for the team.
But we also have to find consistency here too, because I'm just going to touch on it now. We're not ready to go deep on the critique of the Cowboys, but Jerry Jones, his flip flopping on. Okay, let me start over. Jerry Jones is inconsistent in his perspective, in my opinion. He will stand up for Zeke, who is we're going to get into being suspended. It's official now,
Right.
and the second path has been cleared by a judge. So he's now going to get suspended, and we're going to have to see how we really are without him. And I think we're not going to like what we see. But nonetheless, he's fighting. He's going to bat for Ezekiel Elliott. Yet the David Irving, you know what I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, the people on our men on, and then just our roster in general that disagrees with the narrative of no kneeling, no national anthem. They're not breaking the law.
Right.
So why isn't Jerry stepping up for them? He's saying no, it's going to hurt our bottom line. Well, I don't give a damn about your bottom line. Black men are being killed in inner city communities.
Right, and that's where he lost me. I've always supported Jerry as a businessman because I think he makes wise business decisions. And to me, that's what he's doing with
He
this.
needs to not treat black men like a business, though.
And that's exactly, and that's the equation to where he lost me. He treats everything like a business, and that we are his business, and that's the way he runs the business. As I own you, you work for me, or I own what you do, and go play and shut up the way I want you to. And now I disagree with him, so I can no longer support him. That's a personal thing for me. I still love the rivalry because I got to throw it out there real quick. We did smash y'all this year.
And we're gonna slide into. I'm just a taste, just to wrap a taste on Jerry. Okay, you're fighting too hard for like. I don't want to say he's wrong on either account because I think Ezekiel Elliott is innocent as well. But
but how he's being selective and when he's choosing to pick his battles. He's choosing
exactly.
to fight that, but when our the 45th president of the United States decides to make a statement against you as owner, you take a stand against that, but you don't take a stand for your players on their stance.
Well, but the cheat here is well Jerry Jones led a kneeling campaign, after Trump had his little demand of ending the kneeling. It's like, well, no, he when he, you know what I mean, when America's team was kneeling on national TV, we were. It's like that wasn't a statement from the Cowboys. That was a statement for Jerry.
Yeah.
And
he's always that way, man.
He of course he's a cover your ass kind of guy, and I mean that's just business. But at the same time, this is a serious topic, and he's trying to marginalize the speech about it, but yet he wants people to understand him when he talks about defending Zeke. I'm not on his side. I support Zeke getting out there on that field and playing, but I'm not on Jerry's side at all.
Right. Yeah, because he just looks at it as a business decision. That's money on the shelf for him. Right. That's like having a car. If you're a taxi or Uber driver out of service, it's not making any money. Mm-hmm. So that's the way he sees it. But that's what I want him to see on the flip side. Every one of those brothers that are laying in the street, that's a potential player. Gone. So why are you not taking a step further?
He looks at it as a commodity, though. Oh, okay, well, we'll find another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's more out there, like the slave catchers would look at it. There's more out there.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a topic I think we should touch on. I think I think Master P and Colin Kaepernick were talking about starting their own league. I think that'd be a great idea, man. I fully support that. Go ahead, fellas. I would support that idea.
Well, and then starting their own league. The HBCUs for college I think we're already ahead of the game on that. There's apparently in the grapevine they're trying to do the same exact thing so college players can get paid, which it's for a different purpose, obviously,
Right.
but it's still, it's a step in the right direction. Now, Master P and Colin Kaepernick might be a little different because, well, you're competing for a professional market. So
Well,
you
I
have,
think that's actually where they should start. I mean, that's a good idea. They actually should invest in there because if you build your minor league team or whatever you may want to call it, or your farm team, because that's pretty much what it would be, small market team, build that first. And then, because you already have a platform, you can utilize the platform with the HBCUs and build upon that. And then from that pool, we can build on that.
and I don't know. In theory, it could work.
Anything can work if you put your mind to it.
If you put your mind to it. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on just the idea of I don't know. I don't want to let the NFL off so easy.
Well, I don't
think
either, but I do know prior to allowing us sports to be integrated, the HBCUs were the powerhouses.
right.
There is no, to me, and I want to put this out there since we're having sports, and I know this is totally off topic, but since I went to one of the greatest historically black college universities on this land, Grambling State University, we have one of the greatest coaches that does not get the recognition he deserves. He, in the 60s and 70s, was putting 10 guys or more in the league. So when we get it all, when a Nick Saban put 6, when this guy was putting almost whole teams, 6 or 7 on each side of the ball, because all of the black men were in the HBCUs before
they started getting picked up in the
yeah.
NFL.
Or no, or integrated into school. So that was the powerhouse. We had the Negro League baseball team. Where were all the major league guys coming from?
Well, and then, this is interesting that you bring that up, Stephen. This is just a shout out to our our roundtable listeners and supporters and followers and viewers. Just a side note, as an entrepreneur, the small markets are clearly dictating, what direction America is going in. It was sports with business, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to do a 180 on my earlier, perspective. I'm just trying to say that, well, a small market, when it's powerful enough, I mean, for us, it was like that with we were talking off camera about the Black Wall Street, a small market that was strong enough to survive on its own. It had the only way to destabilize it was to destroy it.
Sure.
And so, yeah, like I get where you're coming from. That, well, these small markets, they did give birth to what is the modern day college era, and it's still a hustle. They should have been getting paid back then. They should be getting paid now.
They should. The student athlete is basically funding the school.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you got to look at it from another dynamic. As a parent, they're using your kid's talent to fund the school, and they may not be getting the proper education. So if they don't make it to past that level, they may either be getting a degree that may not service them well as a professional because they may not make a lot of money. Or
they may not get in the NFL, which is a fraction of the people you see on college.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like maybe a 10th or 13th or somewhere in there, because you got to think there's only 32 NFL teams, and there's hundreds of colleges, and they have bigger rosters.
We're just talking about D1. There's D2, D3,
D1 AA. Yeah. So, and that's where the problem lies with the HBCUs. And I know this will probably be another segment, but I watch Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, and that's what they were talking about. The HBCUs play these larger universities, and they pay for slay just to get beat down, to keep their stats up. And 40 years ago, it was the reverse. But they pulled all those resources away from our HBCUs, and now
and what he means by they pulled the resources away, they told the really good black kids, look, you can go now. And it's not to criticize the integrated universities, because I think they're depending on what you want to do. When we get off of football, we get off of sports. Right. But in terms of sports, yes, and the Nick Sabans of that generation finally figured out, okay, we go to the small market schools, we can get the players we need. You know what I mean? Or if we follow the towns where these small market players are coming from that have all this, pro football talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We might be able to recruit them to make our school look better. And then if they're good enough, they go all the way to the NFL. The player only sees that. The Hall of Fame Chris Carter and Shannon. They see it as, oh, I was just lucky enough to make that happen. But for the hundreds of other players that missed on that opportunity, that just went out there and played football because they loved the game and had enough time between class, it's like, well, was it really worth it?
I have a dream that one day I'd wake up one day that like all the top recruits ended up back at the HBCUs and they were the powerhouses. Like, couldn't you imagine like a Hamptons and the Howards and the AP top 25? Wouldn't that be awesome?
It's hard identifying. You're right. It's hard identifying with the small markets only because of the fact that that's where the heart of the culture typically is, but it doesn't offer the same resources because they were taken.
Yeah. I was saying, and I know we got off topic of some other thing, but it's fun to talk about that stuff because I attended one and I got to see it myself. And it's actually a beautiful thing to see because I was there with the legend when he got over his 400th win. So I was there to see a legend get his 400th win. Eddie Robinson coached that school and put so many men in the NFL. And he raised a man. He was an amazing man. I think it was one of his quotes was he had one job, one wife, one and one school. So he was a very fundamental man. So peace to his family and the people of Grambling State University.
Well, and then, I mean, we're having great conversation. I think honestly, like college football, like that is a different topic for a different segment.
We can come back to that.
College is definitely its own version of slavery for the players because yes, their talent is exploited, and that's when the injuries start to pile up. And then if they get into the NFL, well, that hurts their resume because they get injured in college, but they didn't get paid. And so, but still, the NFL buzz, like in terms of Colin Kaepernick, in terms of police brutality and everything, in terms just of with McNair, the owner, Bob McNair, I don't believe the players are inmates. I don't believe the players are slaves, but I know that I have to say that because there's someone in that chain that probably does.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
And I mean, it's like I don't want to have to say something like that, but you think a group like Black Lives Matter would never have to come into existence because you would think that, well, people know that. Because obviously all lives matter, but we're not saying that. We're saying when you hear Black Lives Matter, you're hearing people say that we want all lives to matter, including Black lives.
Yeah.
But of course, like with the kneeling, it gets misrepresented because, well, we see what you're asking for, but or better yet, in terms of the owner, we see how he as the owner feels about his players, but when you hear Dwayne Brown speak out about how that this is he's just taking notes, that no, you really are racist and it's time to call it out. Oh, he gets traded. Huh, interesting.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, but we see that every day. That happens in the workplace. It happens more than, and that's what I don't think people realize is we see what happens to people in the mainstream. This happens to everyday people, multiple times a day, a year, throughout all of our lives, and we get exploited like that. And then when we put it on the big stage and show you, then you want to act like it doesn't happen. This is nothing new. Police brutality, the way we're treated on the job. Because really, to me, the Colin Kaepernick thing is beyond football. It's an on-the-job thing. That's discrimination on, one of his beliefs, And so where are all the unions? The NFL Players Union? Like
ACLU.
Yeah, ACLU, the UAW. If I was a part of any union, I'd be jumping to his defense. Because I thought that was your brotherhood. Everybody stands behind their unions, all these, all their different laws. But now when it's time to come together and say, well, he belonged to a system and he stood for something, nobody was there for him.
The hustle is real.
Like, to me, I'll be honest with you, I like to be savage with it a little bit. If I was the defenses, I would smash up every quarterback until they had to call him up for a job. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I would be like, all right, prove it to us that this isn't discrimination.
But it's already. See, we're talking NFL buzz. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler's injured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smash them all up though.
Just came off a concussion protocol again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Didn't you send something that Garoppolo got traded? Who wants that dude?
And then Brian Hoyer just got released from the team that Garoppolo went to.
Right. So, if I was the defense, I would take this in my own hands. And say, all right, every quarterback, whoever you are, we're gonna smash you up, and then prove it to us that he's not worthy to be in the league. Because they're gonna run out of options at some point.
but I see. I like your perspective on it. But see, I want to stick to the offensive strategy or strategical concept that no, the NFL stop being racist. Give Colin Kaepernick a job. You know what I mean? Oh, Roger Goodell. Well, I can't make the owners. No, you can't make the owners because they're your bosses. But I tell you what, if you're sick of this kneeling. So, what's going to happen if people keep kneeling until Colin Kaepernick until he gets a job? You know what I mean? People decide to kneel for, and I mean, I wanted to get into it also just in terms of Ezekiel Elliott, how Roger Goodell has too much power. He does not need to be yes, they need to be kneeling for a new CBA. I personally think that's a heavy critique. But let's go ahead and dive into it, though. You're right. The Colin Kaepernick should already have a job. I really think he needs to take your quarterback's job.
You know what? I'll stand or kneel to that. So go ahead, John Elway. Let's make a move. Because you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this live. I am a true diehard Denver Bronco fan. Diehard. But I will become a fan of any team that picks up Colin Kaepernick and is bold like that.
Right.
I promise you. That'll be and I'm not even wearing any gear right now, but I will become a fan of any team, and everybody that knows me knows I'm a true diehard Bronco fan. But somebody that's bold enough to go against status quo, I respect them. And to me, that be bold like that, any team that picks him up, they're going to tell me that hey, we're not trying to fit in with everybody. We're trying to be different, and that's deserving of my support.
Colin Kaepernick has pretty much been without a job the entire season. Well, yeah, the entire season. Year and a half. Yeah, last season as well. We've heard every excuse in the book for all of the this is round table, the bullshit quarterbacks that got signed.
Mm-hmm.
We've
heard I've never even heard of them.
We heard people come out of retirement. We're watching them break down as we speak halfway through NFL midterm. You know, shout out to the round table viewers and listeners. Mm-hmm. This is the NFL midterm.
Midterm.
And we're watching the NFL QBs break down before our eyes.
By the minute. It's like karma almost.
but somehow we've forgotten about Colin Kaepernick all of a sudden.
Just skip right over his own name. Huh?
And so, yeah, I agree with you. Now, if I'm John Elway, I'm saying, why haven't we called him? You're going to start Brock Osweiler and think he's going to take your franchise back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and you know what? As bad as, even though I have not been watching, and what I tell people, I'm not protesting. Like I said, I'm taking a stand to focus on my brand over someone else's. Mine is not considered protest. I reevaluated what I was doing in my participation. I'm supporting Colin Kaepernick, but I'm doing it in the way I need to. I'm just refocusing that time on my brand. So building my end up.
Right, but in terms of the Denver Broncos, though, it's like they need a quarterback.
Yeah, they're bad. And you know what? That's what I want John Elway. So I'm going to send him a message. Anybody that knows John Elway, send me my message. We want Cap. Because you know what? If anything, when your team is down, do you know the media coverage that man's going to bring? You bring him in, and you put him in.
Marijuana's already in Colorado, so it's not like it's going to be controversial. It will be, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be the kind of controversy that shows. Well, he went to a progressive market.
Yeah.
That's where he needs to be.
It's the perfect place to go take a chance. Right now, we're not playing very well. Why not go be totally a game changer? Like, be a total game changer and shake things up. Because, to me, at this point, any press is good press.
Yeah, but I would still hit it from the angle of Colin Kaepernick has been to the Super Bowl. Of all of the NFL quarterbacks that are starting right now, like We can name them on one finger who have been to the Super Bowl and have even won.
You know what I think the NFL is afraid of? I think a Cinderella story. Imagine if somebody picked Colin Kaepernick up and he led them to a Super Bowl victory. Could you imagine what that would do? They'd be that's scary.
It's you know what, and that would be the one situation that the NFL would be so afraid of, you know, especially once he gets signed. I mean, I don't know if he really is going to get signed at this point. He's pretty much retired, but it's just a shame to watch because the quality of NFL games has gone down. I don't know if you got Sunday ticket, but it's gone down.
Yeah, I don't. I don't even partake right now.
You know, the thing is, it's gone. The quality of the games have gone down, and because the rules are leaning more towards the offense. But when you're a team that doesn't have a quarterback, Denver, what are you watching? And then I want to go deeper though with Denver because I don't think the quarterback is the only problem. But in terms of the quarterback, why can't your man Von Miller on the other side take a pay cut?
Well, let's just call it what it is. That's some selfishness. Hey, I'm gonna get mine. And I was amazed at the contract some of these guys are getting anyway. No hate on Von Miller because I love you. Peace to you, Von. You my boy. I love you, DeSoto, Texas. But I mean, if you want to win, you spread the love around.
Hey,
you do.
But I didn't mean to just like you hit it right on the nail right on the head. that is some selfishness though. Yeah, but you hate to see that. You hate to see that.
You can win more because you know what? The more championships you get that wrapped in there because they have a solid defense, but we've had to make a few adjustments. We got a few injuries, so. I mean, like I said, you do. There's two sides to the coin.
But Von Miller needs to take a pay. Wait a minute. How much is he making? Like 100?
Man, he's a gazillionaire, man.
He's making too much money.
But no, there's no. You know what? There's two ways to look at it. As an entrepreneur, you got to look at he's his own business. I'm gonna take as much money as I can.
But the NFL is not his business. He's the entrepreneur of his brand. The NFL is not his brand.
Right.
Denver is not his brand.
But this is what I would say. Invested into the black and brown community, then at least do that. If you're gonna take all that money, let's do something with it. Come holler at me, Von. I got something to do with it.
Yeah, but exactly. Give it back to the hub entrepreneurs. We'll make something work.
Yeah, but because that's what I think they should all do. Like, all right, we're gonna go start businesses with our
the small business, the small black business owners. That's smart. I agree with you. But here's the thing. Okay. We're gonna get political on it for a second. You have capitalism. You have socialism. What you're seeing right now with the Denver Broncos and Von Miller is capitalism. I want to make as much money as possible, and I agree with you. Like, I wasn't laughing because I disagreed. I was laughing because I do agree, and you're hitting the nail right on the head. However, because you're refusing to share the wealth, you're refusing to speak, and we've talked about it, you know, and you're refusing to expand, you know, on what, I mean, it's like, damn, you want to eat up cap space just because you want to have money. I get it. You've never been a millionaire before, but now that the other side of okay, Drew Brees did it. He got the ring, but he wants to hold his team hostage. So now you don't have a defense. Von Miller, if you take a pay cut, you might be able to afford a better quarterback.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Maybe.
It's all about teaming. At least restructure it to where you get those in incentives, and later on down the road, let's keep winning because that was a solid team.
Oh, and the other side is socialism, though. But that's the point. Socialism. Share the wealth. If you're in the NFL, stop being in your head and saying that I want all the money, you know. And yeah, I get it. You're a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I believe that every individual, be they a capitalist or socialist or indifferent, you know,
but
should be able to make as much money as they want.
A real capitalist would build others because that way you could leverage more.
But this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going with it. You can be and shout out again to our roundtable viewers and listeners. You can be a capitalist and still support socialism. Within the framework of the NFL, all you have to do is say, look, it's not about me. I can feed my family. But I see our team. Tim Duncan did it with the NBA with Spurs. Look, just give that money back to the players. I can feed my family.
Right, we good.
You know, and
because he enjoyed winning.
Exactly, but okay, and keep it real. You guys have not you guys, but you know the NFL athletes, the stars, they have other contracts with other businesses. Yeah. So you mean to tell me, it's going to hurt to take a pay cut representing your team?
Yeah. Yeah, that's well, hey, it is what it is. Everybody likes to take, but nobody wants to give back. So it's all right,
The
man.
hustle is no, but the hustle is real, and
It is.
we talk about that because we hustle each other when we do that.
Redo, and that's why I said just bring it back. I mean, if you're gonna hustle, hustle, but come, let's build up the block. Let's do it, and because that's what they did. So let's do it ourselves. You have the capital now, so you can't say you don't. But come, let's build up some communities and neighborhoods and build up some small businesses because there's a lot of those that need it. So if you're gonna absorb your team that you play for, at least come put back into your team that you down for.
Absolutely. And well, I actually want to get some background. Where do you think that in the AFC West, where do you think Denver, or what do you think is stopping them from being at number one?
Well, our offense is not very solid. I mean, it's pretty stagnant. It's pretty predictable. Um, Vance Joseph, I love I love they brought in black coach. That was pretty trending for Elway. I got to give him a little credit there, especially in the times right now. Yeah, and so bringing him in, I like that, but I think that they haven't gelled quite yet, especially from the offense, and the defense is losing some momentum due to that. That defense is still stout, and it can do some things, but they've showed some weaknesses, just giving up some short fields. Now we're accumulating some injuries.
Bad field position,
Yeah.
because the offense can't get a first
right.
down.
Yeah, throwing picked fumbles. I mean, I think their opposing defenses have scored more than our offense lately. Because I think we've had a couple taken back. So, what can you do when you're spotting points, and giving up short fields? So I think that defense is still there, and that can win champions. But we need a consistent quarterback, and that's why I want him to be a trendsetter, to the captain. Go get somebody that can make some waves. He can at least move around in the pocket and scare some people.
He's been to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and Brock Osweiler has too. But you have to remember,
Right.
the defense brought him to the Super Bowl,
Right.
not the other way around.
Yeah, and he didn't even play that.
But the Kaepernick can bring take that offense to the Super Bowl.
Could you imagine? You might have a sellout crowd if somebody brings Cap in. Any team. If I was, who's 0 something? Isn't Cleveland like 0-8?
Cleveland.
Who's? Let's get some stats.
We'll pull up the ESPN stats.
Like
Yeah,
Cleveland.
you're right.
Let's talk, man. What are you doing? I mean, I'd love for Cap to come to the Broncos, but if I was 0-8, come on, man. I'd be like, hey, dude, come at least get me some ratings. You get me some TV ratings.
But we don't know what Cleveland is doing. Like their front office, they just have nothing in check and structured together at all.
The Giants, the team that got the only win against my team. I mean, at this point, sit Eli down and just be a trendsetter, man. Go with it. You've lost 6 games.
Right. I agree with that. But in NFL or the New York Giants, I personally think got too much pride. Oh, in Eli Manning, he got us 2 rings with Tom Coughlin. Yeah, but he's leading the league in interceptions.
I would even be, San Francisco. He took your team to the Super Bowl. You 0-8 right now. What are you doing? I mean, at least get TV ratings. I mean, if it's all about making money, I mean, there you go.
But you brought up Cleveland. Let's touch on them for a second. Just going back in the NFL buzz.
Right.
So Hugh Jackson has nothing. It's fair to say he has no idea what he's doing, and it's again fair to say the front office has no depth at all with their strategy for for winning football games. Right. And now you got Myles Garrett, who was a first-round draft pick that just keeps getting injured playing for the team. I mean, this is his freshman season in the NFL. He can't stay healthy, and it's sad. It's sad that, and like the reason I just bring that up is because, well, I think that if there was some leadership that knows, like we were talking about with Kaepernick, if you get a Peyton Manning, you know what I mean? If you get, an Eric, probably not Eric Dickerson, but if you get someone that has been there in that front office, you might be able to turn things around. But still, and then you got this new quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser, that's been benched back and forth. It's like I really don't know how they're still a team.
Yeah, that's just. Well, what it is the first thing you got to start with building a culture. Who are you? Their identity of what kind of team they are. I think they had the most quarterbacks in like a 10 or 15 year gap. because every year they got a new quarterback. They trying anybody, Johnny Manziel, whoever else came after that, and so you just go through there. That's kind of like a graveyard, like your little skull and bones, Cleveland. It's like skull and bones.
The pirate flag is what it is.
So they like shipwrecked, man. So they might be some of your Navy brothers, man, just shipwrecked them.
But Cleveland it's like they keep getting draft picks. It's like sell those draft picks if you just don't know what to do because you're hurting the quality of the league.
Yeah, because what you do is you get the top guy of the league go into this subpar team.
Organization.
Right, yeah, and just horrible. Because you know what's, in the end of the day, they're all professionals. So these are elite guys on that team. If you really think about it, these guys, because for one, they were the best guys probably in college. A lot of those, because they get first pick or they're in the top 5 just about every year.
And the thing is, they're locked into a contract with Cleveland that ultimately gets them nowhere.
You waste away their good years. Think about it. That's why Barry Sanders retired, because Detroit wouldn't let him go. Remember that? Wouldn't let him. They didn't want to let him go because they knew he was a hot commodity at that time. Barry Sanders was the best.
But it's different with Cleveland though, because Cleveland they traded Taylor Gabriel last year, who was in the year before, who was in the Super Bowl last year, and they have a Deshaun Kaiser and a young quarterback. And a young defensive end, and actually a young squad on defense.
Yeah,
Jabril Peppers, a few good picks on defense. But and you actually think from how they build it up, oh, they know what they're doing. They're making some moves. But it's like they still don't win any games. It's like, no, you don't know what you're doing.
Well, what they never do is they never build the total brand. Once you get a Deshaun Kaiser, either decide whatever style of quarterback he is, or build him into the quarterback you want him to be. You got to build that type of system around him. They just plug him in and expect him to go be great. They don't have any identity. And even the defense, are you the dog pound, or are you the puppy pound? What are you? I mean, if you ain't won no games, you the puppy pound for right now. So
they've lost at home, they've lost on the road.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Because when other people own your stadium, you the puppy pound. You don't own your stadium. So,
but just wrapping up again on Denver. Von Miller needs to take a pay cut if y'all are going to get a better quarterback. But if
holler at me, Von, invest in that.
If we need to critique the defense at all, because that's where the cap space is invested. What is Von Miller not doing enough of?
Well,
because they have won some. Y'all have won some games.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's like I said, probably protecting his brand. I don't think he's as aggressive. Once you're worth that much money, you kind of like, hey, I'm not ruining this, It happens to almost every player. Think about it. Usually, right preceding the big contract, they have either their worst year or they're injured, most players. Not to say he's doing that, but I'm just saying that tends to be the trend. They don't perform as well because because they're probably in that big contract, you must be playing to get all this.
And Joe Flacco, when he probably pulled the same thing off. It's like as average as he's been within his career.
Yeah, he stole a Super Bowl from my team, man.
The hell fluko pass.
Yeah, stole one, man. And then look at him, garbage.
but you know what? He still got that ring.
Hey, he did. He earned it. Hey, Peyton Manning got one. I'm a real Bronco fan and know that defense won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, but see, I don't think Denver really. I didn't want them to win. I thought Carolina actually had the right swag with that offense. No. But defense wins championships. I agree with that.
They went in there. That was when that was like some old Orange Crush defense. And I think John Elway wanted to try and ride that out and say, okay, I'm gonna put all my money over here. But then we give out a humongous contract to Von. And, some other people, we had to let go of T.J. Ward and a couple other guys.
No, you didn't have to. I think he said he felt disrespected.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit deeper, but okay.
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. So we didn't have to, but, I think that wasn't a good move because, he brought a different heartbeat to the defense. He brought a certain thunder. So I still like him as a player. I like anybody that can bring a different pulse to the game. Right. He played with some intensity. So shout out to him, even though he's with another team. I like guys that play like that, man, because, if you're going to be out there playing, let's play with some intensity.
So we're going to try to end on a high note for Denver. Y'all blew us out. I believe it was 42-17.
Oh yeah, it was a
It was out of
Zeke
control.
had like 8 yards on 9 carries.
And so as we segue into that, it talks. We can now jump into my Cowboys. Like we really okay. Zeke is now his suspension is back on. It's now gonna happen. He's gonna sit out on Sunday. I don't think he's gonna win this appeal that he's trying. His 24-hour appeal that he had. So now we got to face the music. We are 4-3. Yeah, we are 4-3, second in the NFC East. We blew out the Washington Redskins back in Week 8. But we had him the entire time. I just can't escape that. Like there's no element of our defense. And yeah, I'm wearing his number, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that he's ready to carry our team like that yet, Dak.
Yeah, well, there's that thing that I'm not saying I believe in those taboo things, but there's those sophomore slumps. You have some distractions. Your leading rusher is on and off the field. I mean, that to me that is a big black eye to be to the NFL because it's like parenting. Either you're on punishment or you're not. You can't say, oh well, so I could do something. You can play right now, and then well, tomorrow we're going to change our mind. There was no, I don't think, any legitimate evidence on this thing, so people would withhold it. And I'm like, well, he never was convicted of anything, so what is he being suspended for? If he got punished through a legal system, and then I'd say, okay, well, finally, it finally went through the proceedings of the court. But when all that went away, I think his punishment should have went away too, because at that point, there's no justification behind it. And to keep carrying it on back and forth, he's on suspended, he's not. I think that's just totally wrong. They should just not suspend him at all, like how they did Tom Brady. Didn't he play like a whole year, then served his suspension the next year?
He just quit fighting, is what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we knew he was guilty.
Right, but didn't didn't he do his suspension later on the next year?
The
first 4 games of the next year, he got caught the year before.
Well, he got to play the year they didn't go to the Super Bowl. They just won the Super Bowl, and then the year they didn't go.
Yeah, that was the year we won.
He fought to play that year. Then the year after that, which was last year, the postseason last year was the end of that season where they won the Super Bowl. That he served the 4-game suspension.
Yeah, lead starting the first 4 games of the season, new season. Right. The year they won the Super Bowl. So see, but the year that he got punished was a year after. So even for him, I'm like, why would you punish him the year after? Like, I didn't agree with that either. And I'm not even a Tom Brady fan, but I didn't agree with that because I do believe in fair, whoever it is.
Well, in terms of Zeke, though, we just got to go back to the CBA. It gives Roger Goodell the commissioner, not Roger Goodell, the commissioner, the office of the commissioner gets final say on the appeal. He's judge, jury, and executioner. He gets on the appeal, on the judgment, on the discipline. This is just a part of the rules that the players they signed. Now, like I said, it's frowned upon from my perspective because I really think that Zeke is innocent, and there's not really a way to prove it. But worse than that, our season has to suffer because of it. I don't see us the thing is, I just don't see us dominating our division.
So I got a question for you. 6 games. What do you need to win to say, hey, we made it through that? And it was not that bad. Without too bad, you can't win them all.
Right? Well, we play Kansas City next, and it's like, well, this isn't a punk team. This is a team that they got on the road and punched Tom Brady in the face. Mm-hmm. His offense at least, and this is a team that they're serious about playoff contention and Super Bowl contention. And we're serious about it too, but we're short a guy.
Yeah, serious every year, man. Too.
But we're short a guy this year, so
ain't no excuse. I'm glad Zeke played against us, so y'all didn't have that as an excuse. I really am.
But you know what? You know what's interesting? Y'all are a Super Bowl caliber defense. I'm not hating on Denver. What should we have expected? I really think that Zeke, if he really is just better than the defenders against a Super Bowl caliber defense, y'all just recently won a Super Bowl. If he can beat that, then that says something about Zeke. But if he can't, it's not a discredit to him.
Mhm.
It's hey, Super Bowl caliber defense. It's just hard to get through
All
it.
right, I'll let you off the hook with that. See, he gave a shout out to Denver Broncos. I love y'all, but I ain't been watching y'all.
You know, the thing is though, like my thing is, what are y'all gonna do when Alex Smith comes in, to Denver, and it's like he says that's my field,
I mean, at this point, we're losing quite a few at the house. We're usually used to defending the house, at least protect the house. Even when we do bad, we usually end
The
up
Patriots kind of knocked y'all open for that last season. After they beat y'all on the road, it's like somehow winning became at home not a consistent thing.
Yeah, we've been kind of slacking. We've been giving up our home field, and that hasn't made me feel very good. But I haven't seen much of it. Like I said, I'm taking a stand for my brand. So
We're good. Well, you talked about our next 6 games, or the Cowboys, their next 6 games: the Chiefs, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Chargers, the Redskins, and the Giants. So against the Raiders is when he'd be eligible to return.
So let's look at that. Let's break that down. So you got the Chiefs. That's probably a loss without Zeke. The Eagles. That's a loss.
Well, wait a minute. The Chiefs have some. I mean, their defense is exposed without Eric Berry. Their offense is just good enough to keep up.
Yeah, well, they can score points though, and that's where it's going to be the rubber meets the road for you guys. Yeah. I mean, you got home field advantage. We're playing in your house, but they can put up some points because, like, I don't know who you got. That Kelsey, he's pretty good, man. He can.
Travis Kelce, like, he's the most dynamic tight end I've seen. Gronk doesn't play like him.
No, yeah, because he has some soul, man. Yeah, exactly. He does. Gronk is just a massive man. Yeah. But that man has some soul. Kelsey, I like the way he plays. I ain't gonna lie, and that's coming from a Bronco fan. But I do like his.
But like you can't help but root for him when he plays. He does play his heart out, and you could tell he loves what he does. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's sad to say that they haven't been to the Super Bowl with that tight end. I mean, like, imagine if that's what happens. I know we're flipping back and forth from the Cowboys to Denver, but imagine if that actually happened for Kansas City. They win the division. And again, he's most dynamical tight end. Really, he's really one of the most underrated tight ends just of the game right now. Mm. And to give him that opportunity, I mean, they've been to the playoffs before, but to actually be in the AFC Championship, you know what I mean, actually be contending for the Super Bowl, the lights could be too bright for them, or it could be just what they've been missing all this time.
Right. Yeah, I agree. They have a lot of pieces, and to me, sometimes Andy Reid has some paralysis, I think, as a coach. I think sometimes, because, even with the Eagles, they'd get far, and then they'd kind of stumble,
Well, like, they lose their way. Like, other teams figure them out, I guess you could make the case. And then some would say he just ran the ball too much. But, and then, of course, just with our schedule, like for the Cowboys now, with our schedule, okay, the Falcons, they were in the Super Bowl last year. The Eagles, they might have a chance at a Super Bowl contention if they can get through us. I don't think they can. Now, Chargers and Redskins and Giants, all three of those teams are teams now the Redskins, we have their number.
But the Giants can beat y'all just because they're a divisional game, and even when they have a horrible season, they find a way sometimes to beat the Cowboys.
Well, and the Redskins do too, but the thing is, without Zeke,
so
those are guaranteed losses.
Again, back to my question you avoided here. How many games do y'all need to win to be okay without Zeke? Out of 6, how many do you need to win? I want your prediction on this. So, because I want everybody out there in the world, so when he's crying, you'll know that his prediction.
Oh, no. I try to be objective. Like, I don't really think of our next 6 games like, okay, we can beat the Eagles. We can beat the Redskins, possibly without it, and the Giants. So all of our divisional games, we could beat. Those are the toss-ups. It's hard to compare the Cowboys without Zeke against these playoff caliber teams, Falcons, Chiefs. The Chargers, they're not like punks.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, so you got it cut out for you. Those are all right now playoff contention teams, except for San Diego. So LA. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Shout out to LA. My bad. Y'all got a team now. My bad. I forgot about y'all. It's new to me, man. Don't be forcing this on me. I'm still used to calling y'all.
But the NFC East is up for grabs as long as we can confirm that the Eagles are not going to stay consistent.
Yeah,
So
but y'all got to come out of these next 6 games at least 3-3 to catch up.
And
4-2 actually, 4-2, 4-2.
3-3 is as modest as I can truly be about it, because I don't think we're just going to lay over and lose every game.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Dak can probably carry the team, but it's not Dak that I'm suspect of. It's Dez. It's our receiving core. Like, I want us to be better than we are, and I just our receiving core. I don't think their game is their game. Yeah. And maybe Dak probably is the missing piece to making it all work. But against divisional rivals, they have tape on him now, so it's not. And then even for the Falcons and for the Chiefs and the Chargers, these teams. 2 out of 3 of those teams have at least been to the playoffs recently, and one of them has been to the Super Bowl recently, and so they're not really gonna have. I don't think Alex Smith, I don't think Matt Ryan have anything to fear on our defense. You know what I mean? It's not that our defense doesn't have heart, but these are teams that have been.
They don't
there.
have that killer, yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys can get scored on, man. Like, that secondary can give up some points.
It's not, and like the thing is, I think we should have been trying to build the defense over the offseason. Instead, we broke down pieces of our offense and just assumed we could trade and fix our defense. Like, Philly actually made all the right moves, picking up LeGarrette Blount in the offseason, picking up Alshon Jeffrey from Chicago.
Yeah, that was big.
They made all, and then they attached some more pieces for their offense, a couple of pieces to their offensive line. Their defense just was naturally getting better. And so. And then
when you bring more talent around, that makes you get better as well.
Of course. Now they've recruited Jay Ajayi, who's just another. You know what I mean? Too much of a running attack for the Dallas Cowboys defense. You know what I mean?
And they can muscle you around.
And then Carson Wentz, and now he's got a receiver to get open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they can stretch the field a little bit, because Alshon Jeffrey, that's some grown man football right there.
And he's mature because he's been there.
Yeah.
He hasn't necessarily been there in the sense of the NFC Championship or anything. He's
been in the league.
Receiver. Yeah, he's been a veteran receiver, and Carson Wentz is probably exceeding expectations in terms. They traded for him last season. They didn't think that within his development a season later he would become what he has become. Right. He's obviously comfortable with the system now, but he has someone to throw to on top of that.
Yeah, that helps out when you got somebody that's going to be reliable. Yeah, that helps out. Plus, that helps his maturity as well.
It does, and like I said, if they stay on the course they've been on, Philly is going to. Aaron Rodgers got knocked out. So, barring getting through us and getting through Seattle, I don't see anybody stopping Philly from going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they look good. Because Atlanta, I think they're having some, Super Bowl blues. They're doing all right, but
they lost their offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he became a new head. He's now a freshman head coach.
Yeah,
it's just the business of the NFL.
He already knew what he was doing. He wasn't focused.
but we could say that about Dan Quinn when he was the defensive coordinator in Seattle. He already had the job in his hands for Atlanta. You know what I mean? And when they lost to New England, it's like, well, damn.
Yeah, that's why they shouldn't. If you're currently playing, you shouldn't interview till after your season's over. So if you have a team that's in the playoffs, I think that's one thing they should change. That they should move back the availability, because you're taking away from that team if you're distracted.
And I respect the NFL, at least the commissioner at least will still. Okay, let the markets operate separately, because we don't want to tell owners how they want to run their market. That's their job, and if they, you know what I mean, and like that's just my thing about it.
Yeah, I guess you can go either way, but I just think that, causing strikes, we see it in the college level as well every time. Some college coach that was offense or defense coordinator, he'd been stellar all year. Halfway through the season, we kind of alluding to he'll be exiting even before the bowl game. There have been coaches that have left their team before the bowl game. What do you think that does to the student athlete? Like, that's like a uncle or a father figure to them. Why would you exit on me. At least get us through this victory. You know, because I've seen that happen.
Well,
in college.
and my thing is, okay, so Dan Quinn did it. He was the defensive coordinator for Seattle. He's what created the Legion of Boom. But now he wants to go, okay, when you have he got a ring because of it. When you have a Super Bowl caliber defense, you've shown that you can probably take this strategy and carry an offense. You've already done it with Seattle, and you got the Super Bowl, and he essentially was trying to redo it in Atlanta, only this time he's the lead dog. But see, what happens is karma. Karma, you know what I mean? It's rough. You know, he walked out on his team already focused on running another team.
Mm-hmm.
He'd already got the job before, Seattle played New England and lost because of that pick that Malcolm Butler got.
Right.
And so he already had his job, so he knew he was secure and he was going to be moving on. And that's capitalism, you know what I mean? You can't. What critique are you going to give that? He already had a job in hand. Oh well, I'll move on. Now his team gets to the Super Bowl because of a Super Bowl caliber offensive coordinator. But oh well, he got a little too cocky and wanted to throw the ball down New England's throat, and then threw him right into a few picks that turned the game around.
Right. Yeah,
But he had a job waiting on him after that was over, so he was cool.
Yeah, if you think about yourself, if you're not thinking about winning, I guess that's all good.
Well, but it's just there's a valid critique of the NFL, but that's one of those. Well, how are you going to stop it? Just like how are you going to stop Von Miller from defending his multi-million-dollar, his big contract that really you can put some of that money aside and go get a quarterback. Where do you see Denver ending up by week 16? Do you see them? Do you see Denver getting into the top? Do you see them making wild card? Do you see them winning the division?
Honest or can I lie? No,
sure.
No, okay. No, my all honesty, I think we're still scrappy enough to be 8-8, and if we make the playoffs, we slide in. If not, we just barely miss it. That's a fair that we can pull out another 4 or 5 games. We're gonna be scrappy, but I think we're a subpar team right now, unless we make a bold move.
Like Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, like we make a bold move, we can make a run. But with that current team intact, because we still got some injuries. You got to remember Emmanuel Sanders, some guys. So unless they come back healthy and then they catch fire, I think we'll be about 8-8. I think we'll be able to pull out a couple games that we shouldn't have, but because I'm hoping Von Miller got all this money and those guys and say, hey man, I can't go out here now this year and just do terrible. So let me go get some more sacks and earn all this money I'm getting.
It's more responsibility on you when you don't want to take pay cuts, in my opinion. But I'm never going to be able to let him live that down. But thank you for your honesty. I'm going to be honest. I see the Cowboys, like we talked about earlier, 3-3 over their next 6 games. They're going to pull 3 wins out and fight to stay relevant and make it come down to the wire in Week 16 against Philadelphia, for playoff contention possibly. Or at the very least to stay eligible for wild card. But I think more. I honestly think that if Dak is the missing piece that because we were talking about it at the beginning of the season, who's more important to Dallas, Dak or Ezekiel Elliott? And some say, Zeke. And I personally think it's Zeke that's more important just because of how he can move the offense. But I would, and shout out to our round table, of viewers out there and fans and listeners that might support Dak just in as being the centerpiece for the offense. Don't hate me for wearing his shirt and saying that Zeke is better. I support my quarterback. But the thing is, I don't believe that he's the difference maker in terms of guaranteeing, not guaranteeing we get into the playoffs, but getting us, to the playoffs with a little more ease. See, with a running back like Zeke, it's just I feel comfortable when I watch Zeke on the field as opposed to him not being on the field with our offense.
Like when I look at the divisions right now, nobody's out of this thing. I mean, the 0-8 teams, yeah, halfway through the season you lost 8, so yeah, you're kind of done. But 3 of the 4 divisions, almost everybody's still alive because no one's just pulling away.
Because of injuries.
Yeah.
Injuries are piling up.
Could it be quarterback injuries?
Well, yeah, those are part of them, but
okay.
injuries like linemen, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, wide receivers. Everybody's injured because everybody's body is not really prepared for this intense game that we're playing.
Yeah, and these are gladiators. The black ones they're gladiators. But yeah, I mean, like I'm looking in our division. We've lost 3 straight, and we're still in the thick of things. The leader in our division's only 2 games ahead.
And then we're 4-3, Philly's 6-2, 7-1. Thank you for correcting me. But even still, okay, we're within reaching distance. We're within reaching distance of catching them, and I think that us winning the division and forcing a home game after last postseason, I don't really think that's our strong. I believe we can make the playoffs, but I think we're a wild card team. So us losing the division, I don't think says a whole lot if we can perform.
So are you a wild card team on the road or at home? That's a big difference.
Probably on the road. I don't think we're a wild card home team. I think defending the home field is something we've also had problems with.
Yeah, you have.
And thus, and we learned after our home game with Detroit about 3 years ago. We won that game, but we barely won that game with the refs helping us. Mm-hmm. When we got on the road, we showed more heart for being in the playoffs, but then we got screwed on our catch. So, Des caught that ball, and then he's not really been the same since. We lost Romo. We have a new quarterback. We are a playoff team, Steven, but we're probably not ready for the Super Bowl this year. We've just got to figure things out with Zeke. We've got to get him back involved before we can start talking about the playoffs.
See, that's probably the most fairest Cowboy analogy I've heard, man. There are some real Cowboy fans that I know out there in Cowboy land. What up, Cowboy land? Y'all so deep. Y'all are a militia, man.
Hey, but it's just about being objective. Yeah, I want us in the playoffs.
Cowboy fans are normally like, y'all will be 0-8 and still be like, man, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Every year, Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, and eventually
I got a
we're going to be
question
right.
while we're on the Cowboys. Where did you guys dream up this America's team thing?
We didn't dream it up. It's part of capitalism. We've been talking about it. All it is like you said, Jerry knows how to market his brand. People hate the Cowboys because we talk about the Cowboys in every market. In every national sports media market, the Cowboys are always involved in some kind of panel discussion every day. If you're in LA, if you're in Seattle, if you're in Pittsburgh, if you're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you know what I mean? You don't want to hear about the Cowboys, you know what I mean? But we're still America's team, so we've still got fans out there that do want to hear about us. But the thing is, we've learned, because of our owner, we've learned how to play the game to where every reason that you hate us is now why you're going to hear about us.
Okay, so I'm gonna try this. I want to do the Jerry. So I want to be like him. So if you just self-proclaim your brand as America's team, and then it's just that. So Indo Enterprise, America's brand, get you some of it. I want to be like Jerry, man. That's so exciting to just build a brand like that.
A lot of us, I'm telling you right now, if I could be like Jerry, just in the sense, you know what I mean, the world would just be different for me.
Yeah, see, but the wrong people have all the capital, man, and the access.
Because of how it's really because of how they got it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we know that, but that's a whole nother segment. That's not even a sports segment there.
And yeah, on that note, we're going to segue into the roundtable quote of the day, which is from Don King. Hypocrisy is the mother of all evil, and racial prejudice is still her favorite child. You guys are watching and listening You guys are watching and listening to Roundtable NFL Midterm. Thanks.
Peace, and we out. We enjoyed y'all. Thanks.